Today discuss with hip joint. First of all, content introductions. Second, type and variety. For third, articulations. Same movement as shoulder joint is restricted because the shoulder for 360 degree in circumduction, but hip is part restricted. Types variety of synovial. In this feature, by the articulation by the acetabular of bone is and head of the femur is laterally. Medially means towards the body and away from the head of the femur. Where it is covered by the highlight except the fova capitis. The acetabulum is, you can see here, shaped lunate articular surfaces and acetabular notch and acetabular fossa. The hip joint. Variety of synovial joint. The acetabulum is the hip head of the femur. The articulate is the head of the femur is smooth and half of the sphere. It is covered except the fovea capitis. The acetabulum presence is articular surfaces. This one is acetabular notch and this one is acetabular fossa. The having of stability, the stability to strength hip joint depend upon the 5 factor. Depth of the and strength of the ligament. Third, strength of the surrounding muscles is the length of the oblique, the neck of the femur. Fifth, acetabular. This one. Articular surfaces. The head of the femur is articulate with the acetabulum. Hip bone to the form of the hip joint is formed more than the half a with the hyaline cartilage except fova capitis. The acetabulum presents osseous surfaces and acetabular notch and the acetabular. Okay, in these features. Stability. The hip joint is unique in having a high degree of stability as well as a mobility or strength depend upon 5 factors. First is depth of the acetabulum, narrowing it out of the tension and strength of the ligament. Third, ligament surrounding muscles. Fifth, length of the obliquity of the neck of the femur and osmotic fascia. The 7 main ligament is of the hip joint. First is a fibrous ligament capsule. Second, iliofemoral ligament is a strong ligament. Femoral ligament and ischiofemoral ligament and ligament of the head of the femur. Acetabular labrum. Transfer acetabular ligament. Fibrous capsule. It is attached to the hip bone to the acetabular labrum, including the transfer acetabular ligament and to the bone above the behind the acetabulum. The femur to the intertrochanteric line in front and 1 cm medially to the intertrochanteric attached behind. Anterior superiorly, the capsule is thick and firmly attached. The part is subjected to the maximum tension in the standing position. And posteriorly, inferiorly, the capsule is thin, loosely attached to the bone. The capsule is made up by the two types of the fiber. First is outer fiber, longitudinal, and inner fiber, zona orbicularis. Cavity communicate with the bursa lining deep to the tendon of. Second, strongest ligament of iliofemoral ligament is the strongest ligament of the body. It is inverted Y-shaped ligament. Big law, it's lie anteriorly. It is the strongest ligament of the body. It prevent the trunk from the falling position. It triangular shape. Third is pubic. It is a support to the joint inferior-medially. It also triangular in shape. Superiorly, it is attached to the iliopubic eminency, the obturator crest and obturator membranes. It merges with the anterior-inferior of the capsule and with the band of the iliofemoral ligament. And next is ischiofemoral ligament. This one, it covers the joint posteriorly. It is the fiber or twisted and extend from the ischium to the acetabulum. The fibers of the ligament from the zona orbicularis, some of them are attached to the greater trochanter. This one is front of view, pubifemoral ligament. This one is ischiofemoral ligament is connected to the ischiums. This one is pubic, and pubic connect to on the pubifemoral ligament, and this one is iliofemoral ligament is the superiorly and medially to pubifemoral and laterally to the ischiofemoral ligament. Ligament of the head of the femur, it is a round ligament or iliotibial. Ligamentum teres is felt and triangular ligament. The apex is attached to the pova capitis and the base of the transverse ligament and the margin of the acetabular notch. And this one is acetabular labrum. It is a fibrous cartilaginous rim attached to the margin of the acetabulum. It narrows the mouth of the acetabulum. It helps in holding the head of the femur in position. This one is acetabular. This one is acetabular labrum. Cross section we have femoral acetabulum. Okay. Transverse ligament, it is a part of the acetabular labrum which bridges the acetabular notch. The notch is thus covered into a foramen which is the transmit the acetabular vessels and nerve to the joint. In these features, this one is okay, anterior and posterior ligaments. First of all is iliofemoral ligament, is strongest ligament and superiorly to iliums to connect to the greater trochanter, and this is one is pubofemoral ligament is which is connect to pubic bone. This one is pubic bone, it is connected to the pubofemoral ligament, iliofemoral ligament, and that to behind to the ischiofemoral ligament is posterior view. This is a ischium. Okay, this one, it is a greater trochanter to head of the femur. It is femur, it is longest bone of the our body. It is a two trochanter, greater trochanter GT and lesser trochanter is medially. Greater trochanter is laterally outer side and lesser trochanter is medially. This is a pubocapsular ligament, is the pubic bone is connected to the ischiofemoral is behind the hip joint, and that superior to inferior iliofemoral ligament. Six features. Surfaces: acetabulum pelvic bone, acetabulum labrum. This one is capsule. The attach of the hip joint is a strong, loose fiber capsule which permit the hip joint. It attaches proximally to the transfer to the acetabular ligament. Part of the fibrous capsule are thicker than other and are cut by the iliofemoral ligament. This one is iliofemoral ligament. This one is ischiofemoral ligament. Behind side is the ischiofemoral ligament. The ligament head of the one is ligament head of the femur. It is a horse's shoes. This one is transfer. This one is transfer acetabular ligament. Inversion. Femoral nerve or in muscular branches anteriorly. Accessory obturator nerve is present anteriorly and inferiorly, and superior skeletal nerve is superior posteriorly. Pain in the hip may be misleading. The pain can be referred from the vertebral column of the hip joint. First is femoral and medial complex artery, nerves, femoral. It is a extension and hamstring. Vagus and facialis is accessory muscles. Abduction is the chief muscles is gluteus medius and iliotibial band and sartorius is accessory muscles. Medially rotations. Iliotibial band and fibers of the gluteus medius and minimus. It is vertex muscles or chief muscles. Lateral rotations, two obturators, two and accessory muscles is piriformis, gluteus maximus and sartorius. This one is in pictures. Iliopsoas major muscles is a small muscles, adductor magnus muscles, tensor fascia is a lateral side muscles, is gluteus maximus muscles, adductor magnus muscles, and semimembranosus and bicep femoris, semitendinosus is muscles, and tensor fascia later is laterally, and in this side is iliotibial band. This one is femoris and vastus lateralis, and this one is quadriceps muscles and muscles. This one origins and iliopsoas major muscles. First, iliopsoas muscles origin from iliac fossa anterior lateral to throughout the L5. Insertion nerve supply iliacus portion of femoral nerve L2 and L3 psoas major portion. Flexions action. Rectus femoris muscles origin anterior inferior iliac spine. Insertion tibial tuberosity. Blood supply and nerve supply is L2, L3 and L4. Action and knee extension. Sartorius muscles origin. Yes, sartorius. This one is sartorius muscles. Sartorius muscle origin anterior superior iliac spine, a proximal medial aspect of the tibia, femoral nerve, root value L2 L3 and action combination of the hip flexion and of rotations. Pectineus muscles, this one is pectineus muscles, is this one, the anterior hip anterior compartment muscles is pectineus, origin superior ms of the pubic, pectinal line of the femur, nerve supply femoral nerve, root value L2 L3 L4, action fifth, anterior compartment adductor longus muscles. Adductor longus muscles, this one is adductor longus, origin pubic, insertion medial third of the linea aspera. This linea aspera is present in hip femur. Obturator nerve, root value L3 L4, action hip adductions. Adductor brevis muscles, origin pubic, pectinal line, adductor magnus muscles, okay, pectinal line and linea aspera, nerve supply obturator nerve L2 L3, action hip adduction. Adductor magnus muscle, in this adductor magnus muscles, this one is adductor magnus, origin ischium and pubic, insertion entire line, action hip adduction, nerve supply obturator and sciatic nerve, root value L5 and 4 and L5. Gracilis muscles, origin pubic, insertion anterior of the tibia, nerve supply obturator nerve L2 L3, action hip adduction. Gluteus maximus muscles, origin, this one is gluteus muscles, origin posterior sacrum and ilium, insertion posterior femur distal to the greater trochanter and iliotibial, nerve supply inferior gluteal nerve, root value, action hip extension and hyper extension and lateral rotation. Deep rotator muscles, origin deep rotator muscles, this one is origin posterior sacrum and insertion greater trochanter, nerve supply nerveness and action hip lateral rotations. Semimembranous porosity, insertion posterior surfaces of medial of the tibia, nerve supply, extend hip and axilla. Muscles, origin insertion anterior and action hip extension, flexion, hip extension and knee flexions. Sciatic nerve L5 S1 S2. Bicep femoris muscles, origin bicep femoris is two head muscles, long head is originate from lateral lip of the femoral head. Nerve supply low head, first is sciatic nerve, common peroneal nerve is L5, action long head extend the hip and flex the knee, short head flex minimus, origin lateral ilium, hip extension and adduction and medial rotations. This is lateral muscle and large muscle, lata muscles. Origin, this one is tensor fascia lata muscles, this one. The tibia, nerve supply, superior gluteal nerve L5, action combined hip flexion and abductions. Relationship of the hip joint to anteriorly pectineus, iliopsoas, semitendinosus, iliac bursa, and femoral artery, and laterally rectus femoris, tear, femoral ligament, iliotibial tract, and gluteus minimus. Inferiorly obtuse across the inferior to the femoral head, posterior to the femoral neck. Gluteus minimus and gluteus medius and maximus muscles. Tally features P femoris, obturator externus and obturator internus, namely superior border of the quadrant nerve. Ossification is not important, but ossification of the hip bone. The hip bone is ossified in the 3 primary center and 5 secondary center. Primary one of the ileum appear at the second month of the and one of the pubic appear in the 5th month of the interuterine life. Secondary center, second of the Y-shaped of the cartilage acetabulum, one of the ischial tuberosity, all fused at the 20 to 25. The each other 7 to 8. This one is bursa, a small fluid where the tendon or ligament bursa in the inflammation of the hip locate on the tip of the greater trochanter is common cause of the hip, often caused overuse or direct trauma to the joint. Most likely to involve in movement. Ischial muscles from the ischial tuberosity, usually from the prolonged sitting on hard surfaces of. This one is ischial bursa behind, and trochanteric bursa is laterally side. Glutofemoral bursa is behind side. Connect 2 and 3 small bursa located between the tendon and shaft. Iliopsoas, adductor, gluteus and tensor fascia and superior factor of the अगर आपको तो बीडी चौरसिया है और यूट्यूब पे भी आप सर्च ओके स्टूडेंट्स, जो हमने अभी डिस्कस किया है, और आपको डाउट हो तो नीचे मुझे कमेंट कर देना, पीडीएफ में सेंड कर। बाय।